In this video, I'm going to share with you some must-have tips for sounding as smart as possible in your interview in English. It's hard to sound professional in your native language, and it's even harder to sound professional in your second language. But I'm going to share with you my favorite tips and tricks for landing a job online in English. The YouTube channel Learn English Effectively commented on our previous video and said it was really informative and that we can help you increase your English vocabulary. So let's get right to learning about English vocabulary for working online. Okay, this is something super common that you will see when you're searching for jobs online. An independent contractor is a special type of position where the contractor is in a contract with the company that they work for, but they're not officially employed by the company. They're actually technically self-employed. In the United States, you'll often see these jobs listed as 1099, and that's the name of the tax form that you use if you are an independent contractor to file your taxes at the end of the year. When you start looking at online jobs, make sure to check the type of job that it is. You will see contract jobs, remote jobs, work from home, and of course, part-time and full-time. Contract just means that you would work for a company for a certain period of time, usually like 6 months or a year. Remote or work from home is exactly what you want, but you have to be really careful because with the pandemic right now, there are a lot of jobs that are listed as temporarily remote. This means that they are remote right now, but as the pandemic improves, they're going to go back to being in person. So if you want a remote job for a really long time, you want to find a job that says just remote forever. Of course, the job will also say if it's full-time or part-time. Full-time is anything between 35 to 40 hours in the English-speaking world. Anything less than that is part-time, although if a job does say part-time, in my experience, it's usually talking like 10 to 20 hours a week.
Apple, almost a whopping $6 million per full-time employee.
Now, these are the most common fields of work that you're going to find online. A virtual assistant is just like an assistant in a regular office, but instead of working in an office, they work from an online platform. Virtual assistants can complete all kinds of different work. It could be social media management, or data entry, or answering calls, or answering emails. It really depends on the position. But the characteristic of VAs, or virtual assistants, is that usually the work is kind of repetitive. It's the same job over and over. Usually content writers focus on writing content for the web. And because they're writing for the web, this also means that they should probably have a little bit of knowledge of SEO, search engine optimization, so that when they write, their content will get found by people searching for content. Okay, this one is pretty easy to guess. Customer support is someone who supports customers. This could be over email or chat or calls. If you see a technical support position, this means that a person is working with customers to help them troubleshoot problems with technology. Although it doesn't list customer in the title, it does mean you'll be working with customers. Freelance is a general term to mean someone who's not employed by one company, but instead has a bunch of private clients. So for example, if you're a freelance web developer, you could have 5 or 6 projects going on at the same time with different companies, but none of them are officially your boss. Kind of, you're your own boss.
In this clip on how to run your own music business, I'm going to talk about the benefits of either working with a music school or breaking out on your own as a freelance music teacher.
Hello, it's me. I am an online teacher. However, there are so many different ways you can teach languages online. Of course, I make videos on YouTube, but there are lots of different platforms where you can work as an independent contractor. You can have private classes with groups of students, single students. This field is booming right now, especially because of the pandemic. Okay, so now you're saying, well, Fallon, that's great. These are all the jobs I could get, but how do I get them? So let's go over the top skills that employers look for in online jobs and the ones you should definitely not put on your resume. Okay, we all know communication skills are important, but how can you show that you know how to communicate on a resume or in an interview? I suggest that you highlight as many specific instances as possible where you communicated in past jobs or school situations. This can be in another language, that's okay. Just make sure to be specific. You could talk about any kind of speaking or writing or presentations that you did, or even working in groups would be fine to put. And of course, it's important to keep it specific, as I said. So for example, instead of saying on your resume, I did a lot of presentations, you could say completed 10 plus oral presentations on topics ranging from world history to modern technology. That will give your employer a better idea of how you are prepared to do the job. If you are terrified about working online in your second language, I am right there with you. Working in my second language is probably the scariest thing I have ever done. Think about it though. If you want to work with English native speakers, the best thing you can do is to learn with materials made for native speakers. FluentU is made for these moments. Every video is from the real world. With FluentU, you can check definitions, you can add words, vocabulary to flashcards, you can see that word used in other videos. It's the coolest thing ever. Try out FluentU for free for 2 weeks to help you prepare for that job interview. I'm gonna leave a link in the description box below. Some jobs may ask you for a portfolio of your work. A portfolio is simply a collection of different types of your work that you can present for a job interview or a job opportunity. This could be audio or written pieces or video. It depends on the job. Okay, I'm not a big fan of using this word on resumes because I think it's kind of a buzzword. It doesn't really have any meaning. But a lot of online jobs will ask for this quality, so we need to be able to show it. A self-starter means someone who works well alone and can take initiative. That's really important when you're working alone at home. And let me say this really clearly. With this word, self-starter, and with any of these other qualities, you do not want to just put on your resume, I am a self-starter. You want to put proof. If you can't think of a good example to show how you were a self-starter in school, in work, in a volunteer situation, don't put it on your resume. Customer facing just means that you will work directly with customers via email or call or even video chat. If you don't have any experience working with customers, make sure to talk about, maybe in a little profile section, that you're a patient person, a relaxed person, a friendly person, because if you're working with customers, you're gonna need to be patient. Okay, this is another buzzword, but it's an important one. If you have ever played a sport in your life, you know what it means to be a team player. It means that you have to work together to get to a common goal. You're not looking out for yourself, you're looking out for the group. Customer mindset is another really common skill that you'll see in job descriptions, and it just means that you're looking out for the customer all the time. This one is very common in sales jobs. So if you're looking at sales jobs, make sure you have a few examples in your back pocket to show how you have a customer mindset. In general, you don't want to put any phrases of self-promotion on your resume, which is really hard, right? Because you want to show off your skills, but you don't want to brag. The key is to avoid phrases like hard worker, go-getter, self-motivated that are kind of hard to prove or show in a real life setting. If you're finding this video useful, please give us a thumbs up down below. Some online jobs will offer bonuses or incentives along with the position. A bonus is money given for a reward for extra work done, and an incentive is money that is used as a motivation to do extra work. Commission means that you receive part of the sales that you make. So for example, if you sell computer software programs, maybe you'll receive 10% of all of the programs that you sell personally. Some online jobs can have a low base pay, but can heavily rely on commission. So if you're a great salesperson, you could make a lot of money. Some jobs are even totally commission-based, meaning that you won't make any money unless you make sales. So if you're not into sales or selling things, I would steer away from commission-based jobs. This is a super important difference to know about. If you have a flexible schedule, it means that you can work basically whenever you want. If you want to work in your PJs at 3 a.m., you can do that. If you work on a fixed schedule, however, you are bound usually by the time zone that the company is in. So that can be a little restricting for some people. Say you're in Europe and the job you're looking at is in the US. If they have a fixed schedule, it might be a bit difficult for you. Okay, real talk, you guys. When a job says an attractive or competitive salary, it's probably a good thing, but it's actually really annoying because when the job posting says attractive or competitive salary, it doesn't actually say how much the job pays. It's really important to know that when you're applying for online jobs, those jobs could be anywhere in the world. And when you're in different parts of the world, pay will go up and down. So what I recommend to you is if you're interested in a job and it says attractive or competitive salary, I would check online where it is and check online for approximately the average salary for that type of job. The kicker is, it's actually considered kind of rude to ask about salaries in job interviews. So really the best you can do is kind of do research on your own and guess until you're hired. If you want to review all of these definitions and tips that we talked about today, I'm going to drop a link to a free PDF in the description box below. It is an awesome resource for when you're preparing to apply for an online job. Now that you've learned about all different types of online jobs and how to apply for them, I recommend you check out this video. My colleague Cherie explains how to address people at work when you get that new job. I'll see you over there.